Hi, my name is Bill Roach. I'm the lead head referee for the Alamo region of 4FTC. Welcome to Rover Ruckus, the 2018-2019 FTC game. I want to start off with definitions of what the field elements are. Right in front, we have the field perimeter wall. I'm standing on the field maps. In these opposite corners are the craters. The crater is bounded by the crater rim, and the edge of the crater, what's considered in versus out of the crater, is the edge of the crater rim closest to the land. That edge has a visible plane that extends from the floor to the ceiling. So any robot that passes through that plane is considered in. Not completely in, but in. On the other two corners, we have the taped boxes of blue and red. These are the depots. We'll go into more of what everything accounts for later on the video. I'm standing right in front of the lander. The lander has 4 different cargo holds. They are each labeled as to which mineral can go into a cargo hold, gold or silver. They also have the support hooks. Underneath the lander is the landing zone, blue and red. This is only important in the setup of autonomous. Within the crater are the minerals. We have the gold mineral, and we have the silver mineral. On each corner, or in front of each corner, is what's called the sampling field. These 3 pieces of tape will be set up at the beginning of the match like this. And that's the sample field. On the middle of every perimeter wall, there'll be 1 navigational aid. On the outside of the fields are the alliance boxes. You notice this year that inside the alliance boxes is a small secondary box. That is where the scoring referee will be standing. At the bottom of the lander is the cargo hold pin. To empty the cargo hold, the pin's pulled out, the floor drops out. It's important that when the pin goes back in, that it goes in far enough that a robot can't easily pull it back out by the ring. When you're a referee, you'll only be looking at the side of the field that you are on. So if you're on the blue side or the red side, you're just looking at the blue side or the red side. It doesn't matter which robot it comes into that field. Those are the robots that you'll be looking at. If it happens to be all 4 robots are coming in, well, as soon as you have more than 2 robots, you're going to be calling over to other referees. I can't watch all these. Can you pick up this one? I want to go over a couple new things this season for anybody that's returning. The referee squad is now 5 persons. So you've got a head referee, 2 scoring referees, and 2 corner referees. The old scoring tracker is now a referee and therefore should be included in the referee huddle anytime you're determining whether a penalty should be called or not. Their opinion and what they have seen is now part of the decision-making process. Secondly, we have a completely new scoring system this year, which starts bringing in real-time scoring or live scoring off of tablets. So this year you could either be using paper scoring, or you could be using a tablet to score. We'll go into this scoring on both of those later in the video. The teams this year can choose which position they're going to start off in. They can either be latched to the lander from the support bracket, or they can be deployed underneath the lander somewhere in some part of the robot has to be directly over the support bracket, and no part of the lander can be in the opposing alliance's landing zone, which is again this taped area underneath the lander. This year the teams are going to create their own scoring element. It's called the team marker. Team marker is only used in autonomous. We'll go into that more later. Robots this year that cannot fit into the 18-inch cube. This is something because a robot or a team has made a modification to the robot, or there's been damage to the robot, and something is sticking out beyond the 18 inches volume that they need to be at the beginning of the match. If they cannot fit in this 18-inch cube this year, we are going to turn them off and take them off the field. Head referees, if you're using real-time scoring system, you're going to have to make a lot more notes this year. I keep a small notebook with me at all times, and I'm recording what happens to an event, during a match, and what penalties are called during the match. The reason for this, we do not have paper score sheets that we can ask the scorekeeper for anymore. You can see any previous match on the scorekeeper's monitors, but that's not an area that you can take a team over to. So you're going to need to rely on your notes and the corner referee's notes for anything that happened during the match. If you need to go back and discuss a scoring issue, you can see the scoring again off the scorekeeper's screen, and you're just going to have to translate that into a scoring sheet that should be at the event. So I want to start off with the one rule that you're going to be calling most of the time. Probably 60% to 75% of the time, penalty will be a GS3 penalty. That's when you're controlling more than 2 minerals at one time, or a robot is controlling more than 2 minerals at one time. This can either be done in several ways. A robot could pick up 2 minerals and encounter another mineral along the way to a scoring position and start controlling that by pushing it along towards the scoring area. The way to avoid that type of penalty for a robot is that it has to clearly make it obvious that it's not trying to put it into a strategic area for collection or for scoring, but it's just trying to get through this area. One way you can do it is push the mineral out of the way and then continue on their scoring path. If a mineral happens to fall into the robot, say it bounced off the top of the lander when somebody else is trying to score, they have to remove that third element or mineral prior to scoring. As soon as they obtain that third mineral, there is an instant minor penalty. If they try to score with that third element, they'll receive 1 major penalty for each that they score over when they control more than 2. So in a case where they have 3 and they go ahead and score 2, they would receive 1 minor penalty because they control 3 while they were scoring. If they happen to be controlling 4, they'd receive 2 major penalties for controlling 2 more than was allowed. Every 5 seconds that the robot continues to hold more than 2 minerals, they gain 1 more minor for each that they have over 2. There are incidental and consequential actions that a referee may decide that the third penalty is the third mineral is not truly being controlled by it. It might be a case where they're just driving over it on their way to a scoring area, and the mineral does not move in any way. Even though they have denied access to anybody, they're not trying to control it. They are just trying to get to their spot. The other way is if they happen to be plowing through a group of minerals. So if they're trying to get to the other side of the field and they just plow right through the minerals, and they're not going to scoring areas, they're not going to collection areas, they're not going to their other alliance partner to give them strategic advantage, they can plow right through a herd or a grouping of minerals. These herding is when you're pushing them minerals in a direction that will allow you to score or have strategic advantage. Herding doesn't stop until the motion of the mineral stop. So a robot sitting here cannot herd like this. In this case, you had 3 in motion at one time, you would be called for an SG3. So I'm going to start taking you through a game. At the start of the match, you're going to, first of all, check the field, that it's set up the way it should be. You can see the way that the field should be set in the field reset guide. There should be links below this video to the game manual 2 and the field reset guide. If you're looking at this video, you might want to look at pages 7 and on of the game manual 2. It will show you all the rules that I'm talking about. It will also show you a little bit some diagrams of the field itself. In the field reset guide, it will show you that Minerals should be equally dispersed in size and quantity between the two craters, and that the sampling field should be set up with the gold mineral in the center and the two silvers on either side. All the holes should be facing up on the cubes. Once you've checked the field and make sure it's correct, then you're going to be calling over the teams from queuing. Once they start coming over, you want to look to make sure that they have the proper safety equipment. They need to have safety glasses on, and they need to have closed-toed and closed-heeled shoes. Once they come into the field, they can go ahead and do a wiggle test. A wiggle test you will only find a description of in the FTA manual. Wiggle test is you're trying to prove conductivity between the two phones that you have in the driver control station and on the robot itself. So that would be a simple quarter turn of a wheel, movement of an arm, a slight rotation of the collector. Once that's proven, that wiggle test is over. After they did the wiggle test, teams can calibrate their sensors by putting it in a known location, normally in a corner of the perimeter wall, to calibrate their sensors. They turn it on, they initialize the robot, they calibrate their sensors, and then they go ahead and determine whether they want to be deployed, which is on the floor of the mat underneath the support bracket, or latched, which is hanging from the support bracket, and it has to be 4 inches above the floor mats to be successfully latched. It can be higher than that, but it can't be any lower. At this point, the robots can be initialized. They can be using motor power to hold a latched robot off the floor mats. However, the robot must remain motionless. So the robot can't go up and down according to, as the motor goes to more and more strength. On setup, robots can use a measuring device this year as long as it can be folded back into the 18-inch square. So you could have a tape measure and you could measure the distance between the robot and the landaway, or the robot and the sidewall, as long as when the match is starting, when you're initializing your robot, the tape measure has been withdrawn into the 18-inch configuration. You could also use a folding arm in the same manner. Once the robots are set, we're going to go through the referee call-outs. The referee call-out sheet will be, the head referee will have. They're essentially going to be asking, blue lines, are you ready? They're going to ask the teams to put their driver control stations in the hands-off area. Do not touch them until the start of the times. They should